accelerating financial accessibility with tech in Asia. And please join me in welcoming three very esteemed speakers on our panel today, each a veteran in the banking and finance industry and an authority on today's topic. We have first Mr. Niu Jianjun, Executive Director and CEO of Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Macau, and Ms. Luann Lim, Chief Executive Officer of Hong Kong HSBC, and Mr. Michael Fay, Chief Executive Designate of Ping An One Connect Bank. Thank you to our special guests for being with us today. And without further ado, let's begin our roundtable discussion. As we all know, digitalization has been transforming how business is done in each and every sector, especially since the emergence of the COVID pandemic. In the banking industry, for example, the pandemic has spurred demand for digital banking services. It has accelerated adoption of technology, and it has driven a whole new range of financial innovations. This has led to an unprecedented opening up of financial services to more people than ever, and helping banks and fintech companies boost their profitability. And according to research by Macquarie, digital financial services in Southeast Asia alone represent a $38 billion revenue opportunity by 2025. And mind you, that's just Southeast Asia. So there's, you can imagine the massive potential of fintech when we take the rest of Asia into account. Now, I'd like to start us off by looking at the industry's past as a whole, sort of a framing question to kick us off. And I'd love to hear from each of our speakers share their thoughts on this. So looking at the past 5 years, what would you consider is the biggest change in general within the banking industry? Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right. Look, I think the last 2 years, the changes in the last 2 years, probably more than the last 5 years put together. The pandemic, I think, has fundamentally changed the way people live, the way businesses work. And you take that and you couple it with longer term sort of technological disruptions, and then we have a much more big focus on the low carbon economy transition, and that's totally changed the focus of the banking industry. I think Niu Zong has also sort of alluded to earlier, e-commerce has basically exploded. Online sales volume in Hong Kong is expected to jump 13% to about $8 billion this year, according to Euromonitor. So consumers are shifting their economic lives online. They're shopping online. I know I've shopped more online in the last 2 years than I ever had in my life, really. And SMEs as well are going global because they can. Companies are building their supply chains remotely because now they can. And actually on the people side as well, we often forget employees have changed the way they work. People want to work from home. They want flexibility in the way they deliver their results. So I think there's been quite a few angles to how banking industry has moved, technology being a big one, but really more as an enabler of change for the ecosystem around banking sector. Now, I also think in the first quarter this year in Hong Kong, it was really a litmus test of our ability to adapt. In the first quarter in Hong Kong, we went through our most serious wave of COVID, but with HSBC's digitization advances, we were able to keep our Hong Kong business running without very much disruption, really. We were the only bank with the capability to offer, for example, 100% branch-like sales and services to our customers remotely. And we managed to shift a lot of our operating model to continue to deliver key functions like trading remotely as well. And we managed to release a lot of new functionalities like mobile checks, deposits, mobile cash withdrawals. All that, was partly driven, the speed of that was a lot driven by the pandemic. Well, thankfully, Hong Kong is now well on the road to recovery. We'll continue to lead the market on digitization with strong progress. And, once we see international travels resuming, we intend to capitalize on that and make sure that we're providing international connectivity from Hong Kong, mainland and the rest of the world through these technological developments that we've had in the last 5 years.
Thank you, Luann. May we please have, I think that technical issues has been resolved with Mr. Niu. Can we go back to you for the rest of your speech? Thank you.
继续刚才的话题呢，刚才林总也提到了，就是
So just now, Luan Ling has mentioned about the pandemic that has changed many of the formats and models that we are used to. It just now mentioned about the emergence of a smartphone that has substantially changed the way in which we live and we interact with each other, including the way in which we consume the financial products. We can use the smartphones to basically solve most of the financial demands or deal with most of the financial transactions, including transfer of payments, security exchange, payment, settlement, and clearing, and many other related functions. And also for the service outlets, a lot of changes have also taken place, as you can see. For example, some smart outlets have become the order of the day because for many of the outlets, you can never expect to see anyone, physical people working there. You can see some robot-like smart service providers online responding to a request 24 hours a day. And also we have some quantitative or quantified investment tools that are developed successfully to meet our growing needs. And also the banking industries are applying the technologies across the board, not only specifically designed to one sector, but across the board on all fronts. So all these technologies have been extensively applied over some of the internal process on all the dimensions and sectors that have changed the way in which the modalities will work. In the past, we have a lot of business that are not likely to be put online, or it is not a mandatory request. And now we have to move a lot of the functions online. And also some of the technologies will have to be extensively applied, as I said, on all fronts. So these are some of the apparent changes we have seen over the past 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Niu. So digitalization, automation, transforming branches of banks into online, as well as AI-enabled technologies are all some of the very big changes in the past 5 years. How about Mr. Fei? What's your take on this past 5 years' biggest change?
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. Yeah, I think a lot has already been said by Niu Zong and Luann. To me, I think two big things has changed a lot in the past 5 years. One is shared is how you interact with customers, the customer interaction. Also, there's another thing people probably not aware too much, but we clearly see the trend is the infrastructure. Okay, from what we have seen in mainland China and also in Southeast Asia, US, Europe, more and more banks, more and more financial institutions are moving or considering moving to cloud. There's a huge requirement on computing power, on data capacity, etc. So moving to cloud is becoming a trend, I think, for financial institutions global wide. And also, I think there's more and more banks. There's attach a lot of the importance on cyber security, data security, privacy protection. I think this is also some fundamental changes going on in the past 5 years. People, they have a higher awareness of the importance of these security issues, of these infrastructure issues.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fei. That's great. And for my next question, it's also for all three panelists. And this will be a great opportunity for our audience to learn more about each individual bank. Could you share with us how your bank views fintech? And what are some of the products or services or areas that your bank has been focusing on and developing? And could we start with Ms. Lim, please? Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Kelsey. Look, it's great to be here. It's a privilege to be sharing more about our business and how we're shaping the future of finance with fintech. Maybe just bit of baseline for our audience. So HSBC in Hong Kong, largest universal bank. We bank 5.3 million personal customers out of a population of about 7.3 million. And that's not including the few hundred thousands of commercial and corporate customers that we bank. Now, our priorities are really clear. In terms of fintech, we are leveraging innovation to improve customer experience for individuals, excuse me, and businesses. We want to capture market shares, especially in high growth areas like GBA. There's going to be wealth and investment needs that are coming up, which is created by Asia's growing wealth. And we want to deploy our capabilities in sustainable financing to help our clients across the region transition and transform. So our ambition is really to be a digital-first bank. Now, personally, I am a firm advocate of the power of technology because it will be a critical, if not the top differentiator in the future of banking. So Hong Kong is our home market, and from a personal customer's perspective, there are a few categories of needs. Spending, saving, borrowing, investing, insurance. Excuse me. So our digital active users now have already exceeded about 3 million, which, as I said, over the last 2 years of rapid change, that actually doubled for us. And about 98% of our transactions are now received digitally. So besides internet banking, we have 4 main apps in Hong Kong, one for mobile banking, one for credit cards and managing your rewards, one PayMe as a stock value wallet, and one for investment. We were also the first bank to have telesales for insurance when COVID hit us. So we're investing heavily in these areas, and in the last year, in 2021, we actually rolled out about 200 feature enhancements in our apps. That's equivalent to 1 update per working day, which is quite significant and an investment. When it comes to commercial customers, there's a slight difference in needs. We have a lot more cross-border trade capabilities. We have a lot more loans and credit, digital payments, e-commerce capabilities that we need to focus on. But today, our SME customers are already able to open accounts through our mobile app. We use innovative technology such as electronic identification, e-signature collection. So the account opening process for SMEs is a lot simpler and a lot more straightforward these days. And a good sign that we've seen is about 85% of our customers in Hong Kong are already registered for our business internet banking, so they can directly apply for products such as credit cards, debit cards, deposits, insurance. And that's where we are today. But I would say the pace of change and the progress has definitely picked up in the last few years. And this is a really dynamic environment. So where we are today and where we are in a few days' time, for example, are going to be quite different as the pace keeps increasing.
Thank you. Thank you, Luann. How about for PAOB, Mr. Fei? What's your how does PAOB view fintech, and what has your team been working on?
Yeah, well, I think people all know about HSBC and ICBC. They're really big banks, financial institutions. Well, and probably less people know about PAOB, Power Bank, or we call ourselves. The full name of PAOB is actually Ping An One Connect Bank. Okay, it is one of the 8 virtual banks in Hong Kong. Now, we are different from the other 7 virtual banks in that we focus purely on SMEs. Okay, so our business model is to help the SME companies in Hong Kong through a digital way, through a digital model, to get financial support more easily, more conveniently. So we started business about exactly 2 years ago. We have been helping less than 2,000 SME customers as of now. What we're proud of is that we actually did a great thing on the financial inclusion. Among the 2,000 customers we serve, about 29% of them, it's their first time to get a bank loan. Okay, to get their first bank loan from PAOB. And for the remaining about 70% of the clients, again, more than 2/3 of them, they only have a secured or categorize the lending from the other banks, which means also PLB is the first bank to provide an unsecured lending to them. This is something we are actually quite proud of, is that we are helping the SMEs, helping the small and micro companies in Hong Kong in a more digital, convenient way. Now then, we are I think we're a bit special in that we are a combination of technology and financial services. Because PLB itself, we are clearly a financial service provider. We are a regulated bank in Hong Kong, but our parent company, OneConnect, is actually a technology company. The business of OneConnect is actually to provide technology solutions to banks, insurance companies, asset managers, or even sometimes the regulators in China and Southeast Asia. So for us, we have a unique combination that we have a technology parent, and then ourselves is a financial services company. So to us, our definition for fintech is relatively, I would say, straightforward. First of all, I think any technology that help financial institutions or facilitate the financial services to us is fintech, except for financial services itself. Okay, it's clearly technology. It's not financial services, but any technology that supports financial services is fintech to us.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. How about for Mr. Niu? How does ICBC Macau view fintech?
刚才呢，这个林总裁和费总裁都讲了各自对 fintech 的定义啊。这个 fintech 呢
other discussants talked about the definition of fintech. I think we actually share similar definitions of fintech. Well, basically, the underlying technologies are the same. A, B, C, D, I, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computation, big data, and the internet. So I believe that all the banks are using the same technologies. But as to clients for financial services and the content of financial services, they might vary from one bank to another. We serve a diversified client portfolio. So talking about our definition of fintech, that means we make use of good data technology to improve the customer's experience and improve the efficiency to create values. This is a general definition of fintech. Well, generally speaking, digital technology is at the core of fintech. Of course, fintech is a synthesizer of many core technologies. Digital transformation for ICBC is the very center of the next round of fintech upgrade by ICBC Macau. Well, I believe that ICBC is a leading bank in terms of fintech. The entire ICBC has an employee force, has more than 10,000 dedicated IT personnel. We have R&D centers in Guangzhou and Zhuhai. We also have a digital laboratories in Zhuhai. Some of our R&D activities is related to metaverse. Well, let's do ICBC Macau. Yeah, we take full advantages of the technological advantages from the headquarters. And also the ICBC Macau boasts of a team comprising of more than 100 technicians and experts. ICBC Macau is in a leading position in Macau in terms of mobile payment. In terms of identity examination, virtual credit card, and fast payment system, ICBC Macau is in an absolute leading position in Macau. And through automation of RPA and automation of reporting, we reduce a lot of human labor. Well, that's our understanding of fintech.
I'd like to also pose a follow-up question to Mr. Niu regarding AI applications. So the A in the list of what fintech means, right? So AI is always a crowd favorite. Many people are saying that AI will be disruptive to this industry. How do you see the impact of AI, and how has your bank used AI-powered techs to provide services?
应该说呢，这个互联网的出现呢，给这个银行业的服务呢，有一次革命嘛，啊。
Well, actually, the emergence of the internet revolutionized the bank services. The appearance of the mobile phone also revolutionized the bank services. So after the emerging artificial intelligence technology,
今后呢，一定会给银行业的服务呢带来一个颠覆性的这样一个。
I believe it will totally revolutionize further the bank services. So actually, we're still at a preliminary stage in the application of AI technologies.
出来讲，一个是这个 AI 的智能投顾，那再一个还有一个呢，智能语音服务。
We're using AI in voice service, as digital employees or as digital hall manager. Well, we are all familiar with Harry Potter.
一张报纸的话呢，其实它那个报纸是一个动态的报纸。
Harry Potter always read newspapers with a lot of dynamic
就是元宇宙
pictures.
这个在这个虚拟现实虚拟和现实这两个世界的平行世界的这种
I believe
沉浸式的这种体验呢，将一定会给呢这个我们的这个
the immersive experience provided by metaverse
下一代的这个年轻人呢可能会带来一个呢完全
surely bring about a banking experience for the new generation of consumers.
关于这方面来讲呢，比如说举个例子
I'll give you one example.
在这个我目前呢，我们一般的各家银行有门户。
Well, currently, different companies, different banks have different websites, online banks, and call centers. With the development of fintech, I believe that these three functions can be integrated into one virtual bank. In this virtual bank, we can show a three-dimensional space plus the time axis to replace the single function of call center and the single function of website.
出现一个呢，就是在线上的一个呢虚拟现实的这样一个银行。这样
I believe there will come into existence a virtual bank in the virtual world. We don't have to visit a physical bank outlet to experience different kinds of bank products.
你的声音给你提供虚拟服务。
And our bank employees can also provide services in this virtual world, assuming a virtual face or virtual figurine. And call center can be transformed into some sort of back-end office, processing the data. I have a firm conviction that as the young consumers come into the market, the artificial intelligence will disrupt the banking industry.
Services in the metaverse in that case. And I'd like to move on to our next discussion point, which will be around fintech companies, specifically startups. I believe we have a lot of people involved in the fintech space, in the startup space, watching our conversation right now. And, you know, sometimes startups have a very complicated relationship with banks. Some startups want nothing to do with big banks. Others see them as possible partners or even possible customers. So I hope we can take this opportunity today to demystify that and give everyone some practical advice and solutions. So can we please start with Ms. Lim on this? What are some of the ways for fintech startups to engage financial institutions, and what's so great about having such a partnership?
Thanks, Kelsey. I think increasingly we are seeing the value of partnering with fintechs. They are extremely agile. I mean, we are a big bank. We have a lot more legacy, and the fintechs are actually a lot more agile. They come a lot of times with very specific technical capabilities or very unique customer insights that we can do with. So a real win-win situation we see is where we can combine our reach, HSBC's reach and banking infrastructure with the technical capability of fintechs, and that's a perfect match. I'll give you an example. We worked with this Hong Kong-based logistics startup. It's a company that we met through the API Eco Booster program, and we sponsor this program at the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. And we were very impressed with this company's solution. So we've now incorporated their service into our digital offering for customers in Hong Kong. So what this means is our customers can now get instant quotations, compare different logistics solutions across 250 countries and territories on our HSBC platform. So this enables us to serve our customers a lot more comprehensively. Another example, we've rolled out HSBC Smart Solutions for our commercial banking clients, and that's actually at the back is powered by a fintech company that allows our clients to have a plug and play cash flow forecast tool, and that helps them to facilitate their business planning. We also have sort of accounting automation tools where we partner with fintech company to have, and we build it in our platform so that that helps, and that sort of is a good partnership because, as I said, they're a lot more agile and they're a lot more plug and play, and we can sort of enhance our customers' offerings in a much simpler process, with a much simpler process. We also, as HSBC, have an arm that's HSBC Invest, it's called, and it's almost a VC arm. So we have our own venture capital that we invest in early stage technology and leading trends. And it all comes really well together when the companies that we invest in are also serving us with a need that we have. For example, in Singapore, we announced a partnership with Silent8, and it's actually a fintech company based in Singapore. It applies artificial intelligence modeling to automate sort of compliance-related decisions especially around financial crime compliance, which is a hot topic in banking. And we were one of the early banking partners that invested in them. And subsequently, we made an equity investment in their Series B funding. So I think we do partner with them in servicing our customers, but we also do invest in them because we want to participate quite actively in the fintech ecosystem and in fintech growth. We sponsor industry programs for fintechs to showcase their capabilities and gain exposure. One of the more sort of well-known one is the Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund, and that's working with our HSBC Jumpstarter Global Pitch Competition. So we see overwhelming response, 600 startups or so from more than 60 countries around the world. So there is quite a lot we're doing in working with fintechs from different angles, because I think there is a holistic ecosystem that can be supported and that will be mutually beneficial for banks and for the fintech firms. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lim. And what about for Mr. Fei? How about with Ping An One Connect?
Yeah, definitely. I think we are open to work with fintech startups. Although our parent company is a fintech company itself, but there's always resource constraint. Yeah, there's always more things you want to do than the resource you can get. So we are very open to work with various fintech companies. We did actually in Hong Kong work quite some startups. Now, if you talk about the suggestions to these fintech startups, I think my suggestion would be you really have to understand the business. Okay, banking business is actually much more complicated than many can imagine. Yeah, we almost in most cases, I think we have a zero tolerance on making mistakes. Okay, for us to adopt a new technology, you have to prove that it's safe. It has considered the various of scenarios, different possibilities. and anything can go wrong. Yeah, you have to prove that. So you have to prove that you can solve the problem in a real business setup. You have to consider the regulatory environment we are in. So all these things are very, very important for us to partner with a fintech startup. Yeah, I think it's really very critical for you to understand the banking business we are in.
Yes, that's really, really great advice, I think. Absolutely agree that there should be an honest conversation with banks. The conversation should start early to come up with a scalable solution that fits compliance requirements, regulatory requirements. At the end of the day, it's all about understanding each other's positions, understanding each other's customers to come up with a strategy to solve problems, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you. And how about for you, Mr. Niu? What's your take on this? On the on how fintech firms as startups can work with banks.
第5个是吧？这个关于这方面呢，其实我们跟初创企业其实有很多的合作啊。
Well, actually, we have a lot of collaborations with those startups already. On one hand, we have a lot of outsourcings of some main industries to those third parties, and also we have a lot of collaborations with those peripheral IT companies and businesses. On the other hand, we have some hardware purchasing businesses that are also based upon such a collaborational connections. And also, many of our clients are from those big name IT companies, and many of our clients are also startup companies per se. So through our platforms, we can seek to construct a type of a bridge connecting the interests from both sides. And in terms of financing industry or financing sector, many of our clients are all startup companies. So the settlements or the employees services of those startup companies have a lot to do with our business. So it is fair to say that it is all comprehensive business circle.
Now we're nearing the end of the panel discussion. We barely had enough time, I think. Everybody's really engaged. So why don't we finish off with some crystal ball gazing? How do you see the future of fintech within the banking industry? And shall we start with Mr. Fei first? Thank you.
Well, I think I recall some days ago, the ex-PBOC governor, Zhou Xiaochuan, once said, banking is actually a technology business. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. Banking, everything is about technology. So, in a simple way, fintech is the future of the banking business.
Thank you. How about for you, Mr. Niu? What do you see is the future of fintech? What are the possibilities in the fintech space?
关于这方面，其实我在讲刚才那个回答。
Well, actually, in answering the previous question, I already mentioned that in the future there could be a so-called metaverse bank. So the metaverse bank would be the ultimate bank form in my imagination. It could be a virtual bank working seamlessly with a real brick and mortar offline outlet. This will be a perfect formality by which we can work. So how to ensure that more immersive services can be provided to our customers, and this will be another direction. Thank you.
Still really liking the metaverse idea, and of course, more improvement in our banking services. How about for you, Ms. Lim? What do you think is the future of fintech?
I think my co-panelists have said it really well. If you ask the questions I used to get about fintech about 5-8 years ago was always, fintech is coming. What are you banks doing about the threat of fintech? And it's not a surprise. You don't hear that anymore today, right? It's no longer a threat. It's a partnership. It's an ecosystem, and we think that that the idea that the financial industry giants and the fintechs are in opposition is no longer valid. And fintechs I see today, as I mentioned earlier, as partners. There's a lot of innovation coming in from the fintech partner, and we're working and investing with a lot of them. They drive improvements in our service, they drive improvements in customer experience, and they're a really good source of innovation. And they also challenge us, and that's ultimately good for everyone, especially our customers.
Wonderful. Yes, I think I'd just like to wrap up by saying that, banks alongside other companies in a range of other sectors, everyone has a huge insatiable demand for technology today. And in the end, what we're all aiming to do is find the best solution that would be profitable, that would be fitting the regulatory framework and drive the real economy. There will be many lessons to be learned along the way, as our panelists have said, but that will be how we evolve and how we learn. We're all here to learn from each other's expertise. So I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for many terrific partnerships and fintech products in the next 5 to 10 years. And since we're out of time now, I'll leave everyone with that optimistic note. Thank you once again to our speakers' insights and for showing us a little bit behind the scenes for banking giants. We had a really great panel. Thank you very much and looking forward to our next conversation. Goodbye.